Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And I think now we have to do once more a complete Elias waves analysis on Avalanche's price chart given the recent massive move on the downside. And if you remember the last time that we talked about AVAX, I think we were right around these areas, and the idea was that this can be a correction for wave 4, but under any kind of circumstances, we do not want to see a continuation of this phase down in order to take these important lows right in here about $22.9, because that is going to pretty much confirm, you know what, this is just a 3-wave movement on the upside and not a 5-wave, suggesting unfortunately our move down is going to continue. And you might say, well, okay, the moment that we took this low, we could have been bearish. Yes, you could have been, but you want to remember that all of this move down actually happened in literally couple of minutes. So even if you had stops under the lows down here, I think odds are that your stop wasn't actually activated. And I actually saw a comment that was on my main channel. I think it was in an ICP video. One of my subscribers said that they actually had stop losses under the lows in ICP. I think it was under $3.8, but unfortunately, since we got such a violent move on the downside, their stop didn't get activated and they lost a good bit of money. So this move down is absolutely unfortunate, but you know, here we are. There isn't really a whole lot that we can do about it, and this thing certainly damaged a lot of beautiful structures that we had in Avalanche and also in a whole lot of other altcoins. The question is, what should we do now? Should we just sit on the corner and just cry about it? Well, I don't really think so. I have seen violent moves like this way too many times in many markets, so this isn't actually something new to me, and I would like to calm down and keep analyzing the charts, and based on that, I think the structures in Avalanche look quite a bit different than a lot of other altcoins. Why? I got a very important reason for it. You see, in Avalanche, the idea in the mid to long term is that we are having from the lows down here about $8.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into hopefully a larger degree wave 1, correction for wave 2, and what's next? Yup, a great move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And even if you want to be pessimistic, you can say, well, okay, maybe instead this is 5 up into an 8 leg. Excuse me, let's just take this one again. There we go. Correction for wave B, and we are at least going to have another move up, hopefully by the end of this cycle, into our C leg. One way or the other, we can say that we're gonna have another move up, and this move down starting from the highest high about, let's say, $65, I think does look a lot like a correction structure, since it is very much slow and choppy. And let's just real quick measure timing wise. As you can see, the current phase down is taking us so far about 570 days. On the other hand, this bounce from the lowest low in Avalanche, even if you want to consider to about this point, this only happened in about 170 days. So to me, this suggests despite having way more than enough time, bears are actually failing to pull the price all the way back to these levels. And I want to be very clear, I do not believe this huge shadow right in here is real, and also it happened naturally. I think the real shadows are actually somewhere around these areas, and if you don't believe me, let's check out Coinbase's chart. There we go. As you can see, the real shadow is right in here about $17, and as you can see in it, we didn't even take the lows down here, but I think we might end up taking the lows. So why? Let's go on our own chart from Binance. There we go. So now I think we can all agree that there isn't actually a 1-2 scenario, and this is most likely just a 3-wave movement on the upside. And from this point in Avalanche, the idea is that we are having an A, B, C, most likely in form of an expanded flat down into wave W, correction for wave X, and we were saying maybe to about here we are having an ABC zigzag into our wave Y, completing the subwaves for a WXY in form of a double zigzag. Now, however, I do like to say we are having still the same structures, meaning an ABC, and also in terms of the subwaves, we're having 5 down into a correction for wave B, let's say WXY, sure, doesn't really matter a whole lot, honestly, and then another 5 down into C, But I'm not really going to argue now that the end of our ABC is right in here. I am now going to say, you know what? Yep, probably from the highs, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down to about this point, followed by a correction up. And now I think I want to consider, yes, probably a WXY in form of a double zigzag. And I think we can all agree that this looks a lot like a 1, 2, excuse me, let's just do this again. There we go. A 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's next? Another move down into wave 5. Now, let me be very clear. I do not believe in Avalanche we are going to go down like big time in order to take the lowest low all the way down here about $8. I don't really think we are going to do that. However, having said that, I do think there is a scenario which in it we may continue our move down and reach to about these levels, maybe even take the lowest low down here about $14.8 for a brief period of time. And then I'm really hoping that we are going to have a massive bounce and not get a break of this very strong support area, because that is going to really make the picture a whole lot more complicated than it already is. So right now in Avalanche, I do think our move down probably is going to continue a little bit. And let's go on Coinbase's chart, and maybe it's best to go on a 30-minute time frame and zoom in more and count some waves. So we said this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in terms of the sub waves, I do think for our wave 3, we are having a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down, no problem at all. This is a correction for 4. Probably I'm gonna say in form of, yes, an A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into C. And what are we having right now? So here's the deal. By the time that this video goes out, maybe even we are going to be around these areas. So just know this. I think we are right now having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down, and that's going to be maybe into a larger degree wave 3 and 4 and 5, and even that is going to be into a larger degree wave 3, so on and so forth. So right now, as you can see, the structures in Avalanche do indicate that we are going to continue our move down a little bit, but how strong is this move going to be? Okay, fair enough. That can be up for debate. And I guess the question is, what should we do right now? I think right now we should expect a continuation of the move down. So in case it happens, we're not really going to be surprised at all and be overwhelmed by the structures. Number 2, I think we should just take every single thing step by step and see what the next phases on the downside are looking like. If we end up getting wave 3, 4, 5, and then into 4, into 5, into 4, into 5, basically in our last legs on the downside, we identify constantly overlapping of the waves between our pullbacks up. You know what? That can be like a really, really good sign, suggesting this whole move on the downside in Avalanche is most likely coming to an end. But for now, yeah, I think we need to expect this move to continue, let's say for another week or two. And in it, according to our worst case scenario, at least for now, we can easily go down in Avalanche and take the lowest low down here about $15. And again, I'm not saying this like 100% is going to happen. No, there is no certainty in any market at any given moment. We are talking about different possibilities, but please expect AVAX to go down and take the lows. So in case it happens, you're not going to be surprised. And in case it's not going to happen, and for example, from these areas, we are going to have a massive bounce and have some sort of a V-shaped recovery, well, okay, that's going to be an awesome sign, and we all are going to be happy. So basically expect the worst to play out, and at the same time, let's hope a little bit that we are going to settle for something a bit less than worst. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Avalanche's price chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.